What's up, guys? It's your boys Awoki back with some more crime content. And with all the buzz that's going around with Bryan Kohberger and all the supporting evidence of the cell phone photos, the searches, plus tons more, this man is not going nowhere and he's probably going to be in prison for life. But we're going to be watching all this new stuff, new evidence, and so forth by the beautiful Christina Randall. If you guys have not checked out her channel, I suggest you highly go over to her channel, give her some love, subscribe, comment, like, and share. And make sure you guys go on my channel, do the same thing, subscribe, comment, like, and share. My channel does not perform or does not go anywhere because of you guys. You guys are the ones that have made this channel what it is, and I'm so blessed to have all of you guys. I thank you guys so very much for the love and support. And with that being said, I want to dive right in and find more information on the Idaho 4 murders. Let's take a look.
Do y'all think this is even going to actually make it to trial at this point? Before we get into today's video, I just want to let you guys know that this video is for educational purposes
I'm surprised it hasn't gone there to begin with.
only. Please remember to be kind to everybody everywhere, in your everyday life, in your home, in the grocery store, and especially in the comment section down below. Please do not show hate to anybody, anywhere.
Such a sweet woman.
So good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everybody doing today? I hope you all are having an amazing day. I hope you all are having a wonderful week so far. I hope everybody's week is getting started off on the right foot. It has been raining like crazy here in Florida, but everything seems to be going well. And I hope that all of my mommies out there and mothers had a great Mother's Day on Sunday. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about Bryan Kohberger again. If y'all remember in my last video, I said that there was a Dateline documentary coming out about Bryan just this past weekend. Well, it came out, y'all, and let me tell you, there was more new information in it than I expected. Before we get into it, I did want to let you guys know, if you don't already know, hi, my name is Christina. I do have a second channel, which is Casually Christina. We just do things way more casually over there. What I eat in a day's, carnivore type stuff, life on the compound, that type of thing. If you're interested, check out my second channel. I also have a Patreon. My Patreon's for 18 and up, and over there we talk about more personal stuff. We go live over there. There is a $2 tier for all the true crime stuff that cannot go onto YouTube due to their terms and policies. That is over on my Patreon under the $2 tier. Just make sure you read the full about section on what each tier offers before you join. I'm also on Instagram.
I do not have a Patreon and will never have a Patreon.
Facebook, Snapchat, and Like to Know It. And Like to Know It is a platform where you can find links to a lot of things that I use and that y'all ask about or that I like everything from workout gear, skincare, makeup, furniture, cooking utensils, basically anything.
Go give her some love.
That I want to link, I can link, and I do over on my Like to Know It. And all of those platforms are linked down in the description box if you would like to come and check me out. So, I actually don't think that these types of documentaries should be coming out before a trial. I did not think it was right when they did that with...
I agree with her. It can conflict. It can cause confusion on certain people, aka jury members in the future. So
the Alec Murdaugh trial, and I don't think it's right. And this is just me, my unprofessional opinion. Y'all know I'm not a professional. I pull all my information from public news sources that's already out there. I filter it through my own words and opinions. And yeah, I tell y'all to go do your own research and form your own opinions. But my very unprofessional opinion, just something about it seems wrong.
And my opinion pretty much matches hers.
When there's a trial hanging in the air. However, I have to assume that Dateline knows what they're doing legally, and they have crossed their T's and dotted their I's to make sure
we can
they're
hope
not crossing any boundaries or saying or doing anything that could actually affect the integrity of the trial on both sides, on Bryan's side and on the family's side. Y'all already know, I believe from the evidence that's already out there as of right now, okay,
Bryan is guilty.
I have not seen the defense's case, but I believe that they got the right guy. I believe Bryan did it. Even with...
I don't know if there's another person. The way that I'm looking at it is no, but I could be wrong.
That I still, these documentaries like this that come out before the trial, to me, something about it just seems off. However, It's already out there. All the big news sources are reporting on it, and so we're talking about it here too. First, let's talk about the new
saw this
security
yesterday.
footage that actually came out last week. Now, I included this in my last video, but I want to talk to you guys about it again because the Dateline documentary really did a good job of laying out the whole timeline of the incident and corresponding it with the security
Somebody's got a raise.
camera footage. Now, what I found to be the most interesting part about this footage is the fact that the car, suspected to be Bryan's Hyundai Elantra, appears to
Which it is.
actually speed away after the incident took place.
Gone.
Now, also,
Super
remember, in the beginning of this investigation, there was an audio clip that was floating around of what sounded like moaning and like a dog barking coming from the King Road house while the incident was actually happening. I mean, it was rumored if this audio was real or not, or if you could make out what you were really hearing. Well, in the Dateline documentary, they seem to confirm that this audio is real. So here's the clip. Check this out. If that
You kind of heard a mumble, kind of more like a mumbly scream or moaning scream. You hear the dog. You hear kind of like a boom, boom, boom kind of noise.
audio really came from the house, like
Maybe like a knocking.
chills. Now let's back up just a little bit. Now, back before the incident actually happened, in the Dateline episode,
I still think it's dumb that they took down that house.
they talked about how when Bryan first moved into his apartment, he went down to a pool party and he was seemingly trying to like socialize and meet new people. One person that he met was a
Say probably a girl.
woman named Holly. Now, in this episode, Holly said that day at the pool party, she was actually talking to Bryan about hiking and they ended up exchanging phone numbers. She said that she got a peculiar text from him.
I was kind of mingling and socializing and started chatting with this guy, and he had told me that he had just moved and he was starting his PhD. To me, he seemed a little awkward, kind of like you might expect for a PhD
Socially
student
awkward.
who didn't know anyone at the party and was maybe trying his best to kind of get out there and be social and make friends. The wording of the text as I look back on it is kind of peculiar. It was almost overly formal.
Also in the episode, they talked about how one of Bryan's co-workers actually believed that Bryan may have broken into her apartment. This was actually also reported back in 2023, but it was never confirmed by any officials. This was back when the co-worker reported asking Bryan for help installing security cameras around her house after she believed it had been broken into. Do y'all remember this?
Yep.
All those videos back. I have a whole playlist. We talked about this. Well, in the
I honestly think this is a case that I need to start diving down into again.
Dateline documentary, it seemingly was confirmed. Now, this person was not in the documentary, and it makes me wonder if that's because she's going to be testifying in court. Now, it was said that Bryan agreed and helped this young lady.
Because if she was in the documentary, she would be excused from the trial because they wouldn't be able to use her testimony.
He installed these security cameras, but it was speculated even way back then that Bryan only helped her install these cameras so he could get access to them himself. Since he was the one hooking them up, meant that he would know all of the co-workers, like Wi-Fi password, sign-in information, and all of that stuff. And if he did, imagine y'all, because this was in an apartment complex. So she was having these security cameras in her home and everything, meaning he could have been watching her from inside. But guess what? There's even more details about this situation that was revealed by Dateline in this episode. This
Why didn't I see it?
co-worker was someone who, according to Dateline, shared an office space with Bryan at WSU. She was even supposedly romantically interested in Bryan at one point, but he apparently rejected her. Strange, right? But according to her, things got kind of creepy. She says that one day when she was at home alone, She baked a cake, but she burnt it, so she left it on her oven before she left her apartment. So, okay, she's baking this cake, she burns it, she leaves it on top of, the stove or the
To
oven,
deal with it later.
and then she goes about her day and does what she does. She said that when she got back home, the burnt cake was in the microwave, which is not where she left it. Like somebody came in, was snooping around, and moved the cake into the microwave.
But why would they move it in the mic? What?
Almost like messing with her. Then she says that she went up to her bathroom and she saw that all of her toiletries had been lined up in a neat row on top of her toilet, which is not where she normally kept them. Then she said that she realized an important watch and a letter were completely missing. All of this was very weird to her because just before this happened, she realized that her apartment key had gone missing. She had actually reached out to Bryan.
Sounds like Mr. Bryan is a big stalker.
If he had it or if he knew where it was, but he denied it. But then, just a few hours later, it suddenly reappeared back in her apartment. Yeah, just inside of her apartment. Nothing was stolen from her home either. This was apparently the break that led her to asking Bryan to help her install the security cameras. Now she wonders if it was Bryan the whole
entire time
that stole her key, broke into her place just to...
I bet it was because the man just so happenly, coincidentally, right after the conversation of her talking about the key, it shows back up in her house.
Scare her or mess with her or maybe frighten her into allowing him to help her install these security cameras so he would have access to them. When I saw that on the Dateline episode, all I could think about was BTK and these certain serial people that we know from the past. And remember, Bryan Kohberger studied these people, a PhD, criminology major. He was very well connected with BTK, and the professor that he was under allegedly even goes to visit BTK in prison. I mean, that close, would go into people's homes and steal just little nonsensical items as little keepsakes. So I cannot help but to wonder if this is what he was doing. He was kind of gearing up. He was
practicing. He was testing himself if he could do it and all that.
Testing the waters. It was also revealed in the Dateline episode that Bryan had allegedly been browsing photos of dozens of local female college students in bathing suits. They say that some of the accounts that Bryan was looking at were friends or followers of Xana, Kaylee, and Maddie. Yes. Then the episode talked about how in September and October, right before the incident occurred, Bryan was Googling things like sociopathic traits in a college student and can sociopaths behave pro-socially. Some would say that these searches may have been related to his high school work or his college work, but some wonder if Bryan realized he may not have been behaving normally. Maybe he realized that he was unraveling. And then again, maybe he was trying to see if his actions and the way that he was behaving in social interactions was showing the signs. Maybe he already knew he had these issues, but he wanted to act in a way that others could not recognize. There's a lot of theories or reasons.
That's so weird to like Google your emotional, your traits that you have because you don't understand them. I mean, there are people that probably go through that. I mean, but I've never done it myself. Is that wrong that I haven't done it myself? When it comes to like finding out traits that, I don't know. Like it's Chris Watts with the whole when to say I love you. Or am I weird for saying this? Or like it just, I've never done that on Google.
That's why he could have been Googling those things. At the same time, the episode reported that Bryan was also looking at Prono and using search words like drugged, sleeping, forced, and passed out. So think about this. He was looking at pleasurable or things to maybe
the act,
self-pleasure, but in those categories.
I agree with her wholeheartedly. They have their man. Yeah.
Of passed out, over medicated type of stuff. Like,
Sick.
I don't know, you guys. I mean, videos ago, I said this guy must be the most unlucky guy in the world if he's innocent, right?
He's
I
not.
think a lot of people are past that, thinking that that's even a possibility at this point. But you never know. You know, still got to go to trial. But just even the thought to look up that type of stuff is so.
If and when this goes to trial, I am going to do lives on it because I've never done a live crime podcast or kind of thing while it's happening. So we're going to watch it when it happens.
Weird to me. Like, that's what you want to see, is that type of content of a person passed out or
No.
over, you know what I mean? Creepy. This episode also had an FBI agent that analyzed Bryan's phone records and talked about how allegedly Bryan's phone connected to a cell phone tower, providing coverage within 100 meters of the King Road home 23 times over 4 months before the incident. Each incident was after dark, and one visit was just 6 days before the incident. Something else that I found really interesting in this episode.
So it was planned, premeditated. Sounds like he was practicing to see if it would be perfect or if he could have made this perfect. But yeah, this man is screwed.
Is that they showed a 3D recreation of how their sources believed that the incident happened. They said that Bryan entered the home through that sliding glass door, took a right, and went straight up to Maddie's room, where he found Maddie and unexpectedly found Kaylee in the bed with her. They were, they had been up all night and they were in the bed together. Then they said that they believed that Xana must have heard a commotion and went upstairs to see what was going on, while Ethan stayed asleep in their bed, like Ethan was passed out from drinking. Then they said that they believed that Xana saw Bryan, ran back down the stairs to her room with Ethan, and that is when Bryan went after her. Then they mentioned that something had actually been carved into Ethan's leg. I remember that we heard rumors about this in the very beginning of the investigation, but it was never confirmed. However, it seems that Dateline is confirming that they have a source that is saying that this did happen. Now, they did say that they believe that Maddie was the actual target, but it's still...
I wonder if she possibly... I can't say... Well, he was looking at all these different pictures and so forth. So... was he like denied by her? Because isn't there like somewhat of an age gap, I do believe. But again, he probably wanted to talk to her and she never gave him the time of day. And that probably pissed him off, kind of thing.
Still very unclear if that is true or not. And if it's not, how did Bryan decide on the King Road house? I'll be interested to hear what the state's theory is on that during the trial.
Random?
I also wonder if Bryan was exhausted by the time he saw DM, the roommate that survived, open her bedroom door, and that's why he ended up leaving her alive. I mean, given the surprise of Kaylee being in Maddie's bed, Bryan supposedly was running after Xana and then having to take on Ethan as well. He could have very well just been utterly exhausted, and maybe he was just worried that DM had already called 911 and he knew he needed to get out of there. Remember the security camera footage?
It was fast.
Speeding away? That kind of is starting to make sense, because I know a lot of y'all had questions of why would he leave somebody alive? Well,
he
if
didn't have time.
Been through all of that, maybe he thought, I better get out of here right now. Something else that I find very intriguing that was mentioned in the Dateline episode was that according to the FBI expert that analyzed Bryan's phone, he said that Bryan called his father just over 2 hours after the incident, around 6 a.m., and talked to him for about an hour. Now, I wonder what they could have been talking about. Now, think about this.
Dad, I did this thing. I needed help, or I don't know. Reminiscing. I can't say that he has any remorse. The man doesn't look like he has any remorse.
Bryan turned off his cell phone for those 2 hours around that time, okay, that incident happened. This phone call was just before the bathroom selfie that came out a few weeks ago. I also wonder if when they look at Bryan's phone records, if he had a habit of calling his dad that time of the morning frequently, or if it was just completely out of the blue for some reason. Now, one last thing that I wanted to talk about dealing with this episode from Dateline. After this incident, Dateline reported in this episode that Bryan had been watching YouTube videos about the incident and documentaries about Ted Bundy. He also Googled his name over and over again around the same time as when he started taking these selfies of himself in this black.
And you know who else did that? I don't mean to bring all these cases back to the Chris Watts or Nicole, but it just so happens that it's funny that they are similar kind of thing.
He also was listening to a cover of the song Criminal by Britney Spears on YouTube. Was he romanticizing himself? Was he like getting ready to go on a spree? Did he think that he was going to be the next TB? You know, because we've talked about this before. TB literally went into a college house and left a couple people alive there, and their lives were never the same, and they dealt with a lot from the public the same way that the surviving roommates of the Idaho home are. And was he thinking he was going to be this person? And you guys, I know some of y'all still have questions about if he's being set up or not. And I'm going to say again, there's a lot of cases, in my opinion, where that question, from my point of view, is totally valid. Like the Karen Reed trial. I mean, the more you watch it, the more it's like, what are they doing? Why are they trying this woman? This has got to be some sort of cover up, in my personal opinion. But in this case, the amount of overwhelming evidence is shocking. Just from what we know so far. And we still don't even know what all is going to be put out in the trial. But what I will tell y'all is Ted denied doing those crimes.
Of course
the
he
whole
would.
time he was in trial, and he had all these supporters, all these people there for him, smiling, having his back, believing that he was being set up, okay? He denied it for years in prison.
Are you angry?
Sure, I get angry. I get very, very angry and indignant. I don't like being locked up for something I didn't do, and I don't like my liberty taken away, and I don't like being treated like an animal, and I don't like people walking around and ogling me like I'm some sort of weirdo, because I'm not. I'm perfectly happy with the person I am, and I've always been. There's nothing. I don't pay my telephone bills on time, and I don't write my mother as many letters as I should. There are all kinds of things I can improve about myself, but a weirdo knows I feel good about myself. Believe me, I've grown in the past year, and I've learned a lot of things about myself in the past year. Being in prison, going through a kind of hell, matures a person, and I think it's done good things for me. My only misgivings is that I might never be in a position to apply it, on the streets where I'd like to apply it.
Or to do it again.
And mind you, even Ted's own mother and father believed that he was innocent for years after he was found guilty. They're sitting at home thinking that their poor son is sitting in prison for something that he did not do.
In fact, up until Saturday, I didn't believe any of it. For 13 years, he's sworn up and down, backwards and forwards, that he was innocent. And then all of a sudden...
And they believed him.
We believed
it's their child.
him. We wanted to believe him. He's still our son.
He never came out and admitted to what he did until right before he was administered the DP, because he wanted to make right with God. That's when he came out and gave interviews and told the truth. And he also talked about where his fantasies started. And he said it was when he was about 8 years old, I believe it was. He was walking through an alley and he found a BDSM magazine, and he was young and he became obsessed with things of this nature at a young age. And he also said in that interview right before he crossed over that he believed, and from being in prison with other people that were on death row, that the majority of people on death row started watching or looking at things of that nature at a very young age, and it twisted their minds.
Listen, I'm no social scientist, and I haven't done a survey. I mean, I don't pretend that I know what John Q. Citizen thinks about this. But I've lived in prison for a long time now. And I've met a lot of men who were motivated to commit violence just like me. And without exception, every one of them was deeply involved in pornography, without question, without exception, deeply influenced and consumed by an addiction to pornography. There's no question about it. The FBI's own study on serial homicide shows that the most common interest among serial killers is pornography. That's true. And it's real. It's
very, very interesting.
Creepy.
And now here he is looking like he could have been romanticizing him. What do y'all think?
That's weird and creepy all
Let
rolled
me
up
know
into
what
one.
you think in the comment section down below. They did say at the end of the documentary, they mentioned this alternate person theory, but it was very fleeting. And you know, when the trial happens, I'll be very interested to see what the defense comes up with after 3 years, if they have been able to come up with a name of a person that maybe their DNA is on something and not just Bryan's. Let me know what y'all think down below. Other than that, I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for watching this video.
I agree with her. I think it's not Ted Bundy. It's Bryan. Bryan is the one. He has this weird fantasy fetish thing with, you know what? I'm not going to even say it. I am definitely going to be interested to watch the trial. I definitely want to look into more videos before the trial, if and when the trial goes out, that this man committed these crimes. Like Christina said, he committed the crimes, left somebody behind because he probably didn't have time. He wanted to leave the place before anybody showed up so they couldn't ID his car or ID himself. And lo and behold, one of the street cams got it. And now he's probably like, oh, stupid. I mean, we're in the, well, this happened 3 years ago, but we are not in the Stone Age. A lot of people have cameras on their houses nowadays. So, again, I thank you guys for being here. Please take care, be safe, and as always, keep nerding on, and we will see you guys in the next video.